Tom Bilyeu is the host of Impact Theory, an interview series that explores the mindsets of the world's highest achievers. He went from growing up in a morbidly obese family, being dead broke, and not being able to pay his bills, to building his company Quest, which is a $1 billion business.
Need motivation? Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Tom Bilyeu, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Take the red pill.
Growing up, I didn't show any early signs of promise. A little embarrassing to put these photos up. I wish these photos were atypical, but in reality, that is what I look like pretty much all the time. I always had some sort of clown hat on. I actually wore my pajamas out and about on the streets. That's San Francisco. Yeah, that was really where I started. And wanting to do something with my life, I had this unending ease that I could do more, I could be more. I just didn't know how, and I felt trapped, but I didn't know what I was trapped by. And my own mother, who's always been my biggest cheerleader, who all but kicked me out of the house when I was panicking and didn't want to leave the state for college, was actually the only person in my graduating class to leave the state. Wasn't something that people from Tacoma, Washington did. You stayed, you went to a state school. My mom still lives less than 3 miles from the house that she grew up in. So this is not a place where people go off and explore. But my mom always felt like if I didn't do that, that I would have a lot of the same regrets that she had, that I wouldn't see the world, that I wouldn't discover myself, and that one day I would look back and say, what if I had only tried? Now, what she didn't tell me at the time, but she has since confessed, is that she just assumed I was going to fail. Now, my mom is hilarious. She's not Jewish, but you would think she is, because her whole life, since kicking me out of the nest, she's been desperately trying to claw me back. And so one day I finally asked, I said, what is with that? Like, literally, you forced me to leave and go to college, so why have you worked so hard to get me back? And that's when she said, with nothing but love in her heart, I just always thought you would fail. And that was a gift. It was really a gift, because at that moment I realized that the things that I've accomplished in my life had nothing to do with being given something at birth. Now, I felt this unease that I was talking about, that I could do more, but I was stuck and I didn't know what I was trapped in. In 1999, a movie came out called The Matrix. That movie ended up giving me the intellectual framework to think about what was happening in my life, because there was something limiting me. There was something that made me feel adrift. And this gave me the vernacular to think about what it was. And in the movie, they talk about taking the red pill. The red pill, its only promise is the truth. That's it. It's not saying that it's going to make things better. It's simply going to reveal the way that the world really is. And that, for me, was incredibly intoxicating. And I took the red pill intellectually, and what I began to realize is that the mind is the matrix in and of itself. Now, there's people that'll debate whether we actually live inside the matrix, whether we're actually in a simulation, and it's a fun conversation, but I honestly don't care about the answer, because I can tell you right now, today, in this moment, I promise you, the matrix has you. If you guys know David Foster Wallace's concept of this is water, to a fish, water is so ubiquitous it ceases to exist. Now, we all have that same thing, and it's playing on us, and it's keeping us from becoming who we want to become. And that thing is our mindset. It's our belief system. It is so ever present. It is so ingrained into the fabric of who you are and the way that you process data, you don't even notice it. You don't even know that it's real. And this is the thing that impacts your life. It is your inability to see that your mindset controls everything, that it is water in and of itself. Now, when I heard this from Shakespeare, I realized that once you become aware of the water, you can change everything. That you can go from a scared, lost kid in Tacoma to whomever you want to be. And in understanding that, things began to become possible.
Rule number 2, embrace stress and pressure.
What makes you happy?
The easy answer and the most truthful answer is time with my wife. The other answer to what makes me happy, there's really two things. So time with my wife, and then the pursuit, which I'll put in all caps, right?
Yep.
So the pursuit of whatever, the pursuit of getting better, the pursuit of impacting the world, the pursuit of building something big that matters. The pursuit, maybe I never get it. I don't care about that. I care about the pursuit. I care about whether sincerely I'm actually trying to make it happen. Not bullshit.
Yeah.
Not just like empty dreams, but like for real. I'm actually giving myself over to this. And I spent a lot of time in the inner cities. I big brothered for this one kid for 8.5 years, completely changed my life. And then having 1,400 employees and about 1,000 of which grew up hard in the inner cities. Hard, I mean, most of them grew up in Compton. I mean, it was just some of the most extraordinary stories I've ever heard. And I realized that those people are as extraordinary as anybody. Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, like all those same raw materials exist in people in the inner cities that nobody believes in, nobody think will ever go anywhere. And they won't because they don't believe in themselves. And so we were talking at our most honest, like what are we really driven by? And I'm driven by that moment of awakening, which I had in my own life where I finally realized, wait, I can learn new things. So just because I'm not good today doesn't mean I can't be good tomorrow. And that filled me with so much excitement. I want to see that in other people. And I want to see what the world looks like when other people realize, wait a second, that Steve Jobs quote that the world is made by people no smarter than you is actually true.
Yeah.
And so if you're believing that these people are smarter than you because you did bad on your SATs, I'm just going to tell you right now, stop. So you can develop yourself. So my obsession became that humans are the ultimate adaptation machine. We are literally wired from the ground up in order to grow and improve under stress and pressure. So it's like, what's the phrase? Pressure can burst pipes, but it also creates diamonds.
Yes.
So it's like, you need the pressure. And yes, it can hurt, but it can also make something amazing if you're willing to put yourself in that situation. So it's a weird twist of fate that humans, in order to build the muscle, you first have to tear it, right?
Yes.
So, but once you accept that that's how it works, you can do extraordinary things.
Rule number 3, put in the work.
I am not a born entrepreneur. Now, there are many people that consider themselves a born entrepreneur. I am not one of them. I know that there were kids out there that had lemonade stands when they were like 6 months old. They couldn't hold their head up, but they could sell. That was not me. I was totally retarded when it came to stuff like that. I had a paper route, and they gave your money in 2 ways. One, they just gave you sort of a blanket weekly payment for delivering the paper, but then the other part of it was you were supposed to go collect that money. And I was too afraid to knock on the doors to collect the money, so I never got that part, but I felt so obligated that I said I would do it that I kept delivering the papers essentially for free. So that's where I started as an entrepreneur. My parents' biggest frustration was that I was epically lazy, and if they handed out gold medals for being lazy, I would have won, I assure you, hands down. There was a period in my life where I would spend between 2 and 3 hours in bed because it was warm in bed and it was cold out of bed. All right? That's true. I actually did an interview with Jocko Willink, if you guys know him, Extreme Ownership. His book totally blew me away. And in the middle of the interview, I confessed that. And he said, Tom, don't worry, we'll let you edit that out. And I said, Jocko, I actually don't want to edit that out because right now the narrative about what it means to be an entrepreneur is to be naturally gifted. And I call total bullshit on that. Because I'm not naturally gifted. I don't have any natural talents. And all of us are born as this lump of jelly that can't hold its own head up, that poos in its pants, and we all learn to do things. And it's that ability to specialize that makes us great. And the things that you choose to put your time and energy into, those are going to be the things that allow you to accomplish something. But all of that is a choice.
Rule number 4, switch things up.
I heard a quote one time, and it so terrifies me. This, in fact, over a long enough time period, people are going to hear this quote from me so many times because seriously, man, I'm not joking. This scares me.
Wow.
And it scares me enough that it has a daily place in my life. And that is, genius is a young man's game. And when I heard that quote, I thought, whoa, the one thing that all of us touch for the briefest of moments is youth. And if you're lucky, what you'll get is a whole lot of middle age and then some old age, but you don't get a lot of youth. And so I just thought, ooh, that's really scary. And they were basing it on the number of people that win Nobel Prizes. It's almost always for work they did in their 20s and 30s, almost always. And I thought, I don't like that. And so looking at why that, and the reason, I guess this is important to say, the reason that I didn't like it was I felt that my youth was really whipping by and I hadn't accomplished the things that I wanted to accomplish. So if my youth is whooshing by me, how do I make sure that I can access genius at any time? And genius shorthand for like playing at the absolute best of your game and really changing things, like really having an impact. And this is one thing I think you and I share, like no bullshit. I want to have impact in the world. So if I just wanted to be rich, Lisa and I would have bought an island and retired, years ago. So clearly there's something more that's motivating me, and that thing is impact and really touching lives. So it's like wanting to be able to do that. I don't want to say, well, I had this brief window in my youth and I either did or didn't make use of it. But even if I did, I don't want the rest of my life to be looking back on that. So another quote that drives me: your future should always be bigger than your past. So, all right, you've got genius as a young man's game and a personal belief of mine that you should always be looking towards doing something more than you've ever done. And so you put those two together, and I just knew I had to solve for that problem. And the only solution that I have for it is switching things up, like you said, to live at the edges. And the same book was talking about the people that do end up getting either multiple Nobel Prizes or prizes for work they did later, is it's people that would routinely change so that they would have these two overlapping areas. So like chemistry and physics, and like where those two meet, like there's new discoveries and new ways to challenge your own thinking. And so always staying fresh, always challenging my own thinking, always looking at how am I wrong. Most people go into an endeavor with the confirmation bias. In fact, you just brought that up. So it's like, I'm so aware that by nature, like everybody, I just want to be told how right I am, how amazing the way that I'm thinking is. And because it feels good, right? That feels awesome. All right, what is up, everybody? I want to talk to you about my good friend Evan Carmichael's book right here, Built to Serve. I'm actually going to read you a section. There are some amazing parts to this book, and this is one of my favorite. It's under the title, Comfort is the Enemy of Greatness. And it goes, when you're comfortable, you don't get strong. When you have plenty of fresh air and no adversity, you crumble as soon as something gets hard. It's rarely the kids of rich parents who go on to do great things, even though they have all the advantages that money, connections, and education can buy. Why is that? Because they're too comfortable. People who are comfortable don't create great things. There it is. Evan Carmichael bringing the heat in his book, Built to Serve. Get a copy.
Rule number 5, find your drive.
Now you've had, like I have, you've had extraordinary people sitting across from you. I've been blessed to have you sit across from me today. And I'm curious if there was a common denominator between all of these people, or what have you learned that surprised you in doing the show so far?
The thing that's really surprised me is that it is so consistent. What has made them all successful, and their ability to articulate it. They use different words. Some people come at it from different angles. Everybody has something fresh.
Rule number 6, reevaluate your beliefs.
Any moment, you can choose to believe something new about yourself. Now, the weird thing about belief is, as soon as you change that belief, it becomes true. Why that is, I will never quite understand. What weird quirk of human evolution has left us in a space where simply believing it makes it true? If you think you're dumb, guess what? You're dumb. Truly. And you will act in accordance with that belief, and that should scare the shit out of you, because it scared the life out of me. And I saw myself heading down a path that I did not want to be on because I believed that I was dumb. I had a fixed mindset. I used to only apply for jobs where I knew I'd be smarter than the person interviewing me because I did not want to feel badly about myself. But you can imagine the types of jobs that I got. I once lovingly referred to myself as the king of remedial jobs. And I actually had pride in that, because what I built my sense of pride around was getting the job, was always being smart, was being right, and none of those things were moving me towards my goals. Now, if you don't know this quote, live by it. One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery over oneself. That's Da Vinci. Da Vinci did amazing things with his life. I wanted to do equally amazing things with mine. And if that's the game that we're playing, if I can construct my belief system, if I can choose at any moment to believe something that's more empowering than I was believing the moment before, and that will actually find its way into my actions, allow me to do things that I couldn't do the moment before, then it's like that moment in The Matrix where Neo realizes he knows Kung Fu. And that's like, as funny as that is, that's how I think about life. To me, the very fundamental purpose of life is to find out how many skills I can acquire that have utility, and then put that utility to the test in service of something greater than myself.
Rule number 7, do whatever it takes.
I used to say to myself all the time, you're gonna get rich or you're gonna die trying. And so, starting as a copywriter, I started busting my ass. Step number 1, I convinced my wife, we're going to, because there were 2 other partners that hired me, I'm gonna pick an apartment that's no more than 5 minutes from either of them. That way, if they call me at 2 in the morning, I'll be there in 5 minutes, and they're gonna know no one else in their company is as serious as me. And I'm gonna claw my way up this company, and I'm gonna get whatever job I become the right person for, and I'm gonna work my way up. And by the time we ended up selling that company, I had clawed my way through sweat equity into owning 10% of the company and being the chief marketing officer, from starting as the copywriter. The person that everybody asked, who's the kid in the server room, was the only person that didn't have a window. They literally put me in the room with all the computer servers. But starting from there, I knew I could wow people because I was willing to grind it out. And that is one of the most valuable things that anybody can do.
Rule number 8, seek power.
You talk a little bit about seeking power.
Yeah.
And it confused me when I first heard it. I'm not sure I even liked how you said it at first until I understood it. And so can you talk to everybody about seeking power and what that means?
Yeah, this is another one of those things that internally for me, it's such a beautiful concept that I was so surprised the first time I said it out loud and somebody was like, oh, that's gross. And I was like, okay, I need to explain this then.
Yes.
So to me, power is the ability to close your eyes, imagine a world, a beautiful world, the world that you want to exist, open your eyes, and then be able to actually make that world come true. And so when I say I'm seeking power, I'm saying I'm seeking the skills that will allow me to make the world a better place. It will, whether that's to be able to connect with people and build a team and get other people excited, whether that's to be able to build a business that generates enough funds to improve the lives of the employees and the people that we touch with great products. You know, whatever that is, like to be willing and excited by the thought of going out and getting those skills, because those skills really are powerful. And to me, it's like people misunderstand power the way they misunderstand money.
Rule number 9, get control of your mind.
This is me 60 pounds ago. And I knew if I was going to accomplish anything in my life, I was going to have to get control of my mind. Now, ironically, there's 2 ways to get control of your mind. Way number 1 is directly going to the mind, which can be very scary, can be very daunting, very ethereal. It's ephemeral, it's hard to grab onto, it's hard to touch. But way number 2 is through the body. And so I decided that my kung fu was going to be to get very good at developing my body. And in that process, I was going to learn about nutrition, which would allow me to help my mom and my sister. In that process, I was going to earn credibility with myself, and earning credibility with yourself is so important. Do it in micro ways. For me, just showing up to the gym every day was a micro victory. I said I was going to do it, and I did it. Now, you have to understand, I hate working out. So for all of you crazy people that get an endorphin rush from running, I hate you all. Running for me is like being stuffed into a meat grinder. There is absolutely nothing pleasurable about it whatsoever. So whatever neurological thing you guys get that you've been blessed with, I have not been blessed with that. So for me, showing up in the gym sucks. Eating a bowl of ice cream is awesome. And so getting to a better place for me was a totally different journey. Thank you. And what that was just showing up every day and putting in the work. It was reading about human metabolism and understanding how what I eat impacts my body. It was earning a little bit of discipline every day, knowing that, well, I did it yesterday, I can do it again today. It was not eating something that I wanted to eat. And most importantly, and if you're taking notes, write this down, it was about changing my identity. Because at the end of the day, identity and values drive behavior.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip. is believe in your ability to learn.
When people come to me and they're struggling with something or whatever, I always start with the same thing. There's one belief that matters. And if you're willing to take this on, every other domino falls from here. And if you don't believe this, then we're in trouble. It's
Yes.
very similar, which is that the human animal is designed to learn and grow, meaning you can get better at anything, which is another way of saying everything is figure outable. You can
Yes.
learn this stuff.
Yes.
So yes, I get it. You don't know it now. I agree. You right now today, you're incapable.
Yes.
You're in the moment where the radio's broken. You haven't yet opened it. You're
Yep.
not yet trying to figure out like what pieces need to go where. You haven't done the experimentation. So I fully accept that right now you're incapable. But if you believe that you can learn, then it all goes from there.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video? And write down in the comments below when you're going to take action on that takeaway this week. When you schedule in what day, what time, and what place you're gonna take action, you have a 91% chance of actually following through, compared to just 35% if you just got motivated but never created a plan. And when you share your plan and have accountability, you give yourself an even higher chance of following through. So in the comments below, write down your single biggest takeaway as well as your specific plan of action, because I want to celebrate with you.
The questions you ask yourself will determine the course of your life. I had been asking myself, what do I need to do to get rich? And it left me really unhappy. So I changed the question, and I started asking, what would I do and love every day, even if I were failing? The second law of thermodynamics is that everything moves towards entropy. Life is chaos. It takes an inhuman amount of effort to bring order to that, to find success in the middle of that. So while I cannot promise you success, I can promise you failure. I cannot promise you happiness, but I can promise sadness. So if you know those are the guarantees and the other things are the things you have to strive for, you better be striving in service of something that in and of itself is interesting to you.
If you want 10 more awesome rules from Tom Bilyeu, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.